All right, we are live with Brittany Brooks, who is the broker owner of Momentum Realty. So, Brittany, I would love to talk with you about your past, where you are today with Momentum Realty, and what you see going on in the future. So, real quick, thank you for coming on. We're super excited. A lot of people have learned a lot from you. So, thank you for always being so giving. What I would like to dive into first is who are you? Where did you come from? What the heck? Where do you think is an appropriate place to start for you?
Um, well, I'm a graduate of Virginia Tech, 2013, go Hokies. I think it starts from there just because, oh man, my history with my roles and my background, definitely an overachiever. I don't know what it's like to not be working constantly. It just is in my blood. So when I graduated, I went to work for a large accounting firm, got my CPA license, and we had been dating. We moved down to Jacksonville and eventually took a position as an analyst with an investment bank because the accounting side got a little too boring for me. I wanted to jazz it up a little bit and loved my role as an analyst. So numbers, data, financials, analysis, I love doing that. That's where my degree was in accounting and then in my roles. And so then the opportunity opened up when you had started the Brooks Group for me to come on board as a full-time buyer's agent. And the rest is history with real estate. It was a hard decision. I never thought that we'd be able to work together, and I thought we were crazy, but that's the theme of the past, 5 to 10 years of our lives is whenever something seems crazy, we just do it and we make it work. So I guess we can go into the real estate side.
Yeah, so just to summarize, you graduated top of your class in accounting from Virginia Tech. You got your CPA. You joined a Big Four accounting firm. You came to Jacksonville. You became an investment banker. And then we were creating the Brooks Group, which was growing rapidly because we had a poor experience. Our first time buying a home, there weren't even professional photos up. I had to door knock the seller to get a response and an executed agreement, and it took off. And then I literally begged you for, must have been 6 months. I was trying to get us to go out on double dates with other real estate agents that were in the business together. And then we knew when we came on, because we both have very strong personalities and we're very opinionated, that we needed a coach that knew how husband and wife teams work. So at that point in time, we got coached up to say, hey, John, you're going to run the listing side. Brittany, you're going to run the buyer side. They're going to be two different businesses run side by side moving forward. And then you came in your first year in 2018, and what happened that year?
So that year we hit the ground running. I helped 65 buyers buy homes that year. So it was a whirlwind.
Hold up.
Every
65 buyers your first year, and these are all retail buyers, right? These aren't investors who are buying like 10.
No, we had a cap of the price range that we helped. Typically, if someone called in as an investor, we said, that's not where we specialize, and so we would, refer them out. So these are retail investors, families, new first-time home buyers, military couples, mostly just retail.
Okay, so do you know anybody else who has served 65 buyers their first year in real estate?
Retail. So we've been challenged that someone did do more, but there was investors that were part of a group. So we like to say, I can't find anybody else that's done more solo retail buyers. Now, some people have said, well, I've helped more than 65 families, but as we all know, sellers and buyers as a combination are much more manageable. Sometimes sellers, it's an easier process to go through in terms of timelines and work involved. So in terms of going out daily on showings, taking leads, helping the buyers with their process from start to finish, I cannot find anybody that has helped more than 65 retail buyers, only buyers, in their first year. So yeah. I'm still waiting to see.
What's funny is when I came in my first year in 2016, I had sold about, I think it was like 60 to 66, depending. I kind of went in and out with some other people trying to get leverage, but overall it was 66. But I
Yeah.
was looking to sell it too. And so there's
Right.
a huge difference in the amount of time and energy and effort between a buyer and a seller and how you do it typically. So that's crazy. And just to brag on you a little bit, like half the year you were pregnant and you had to handle working that amount of volume and serving those clients. I remember being the day that Evelyn was born, you wrote up like 3 accepted contracts. I mean, you love it. Like I can tell that you love being a buyer.
I'm still not, we probably should have planned a lot better, but I guess that's a good and a bad thing that I'm sitting in the hospital wing in birth and you're helping me write up people under contract. So
Yeah, it moves with you or without you. That's the rule.
yeah, definitely. Time doesn't stop in real estate.
No, yeah, it keeps going. So you came in your first year, 2018, and you crushed it. And who were you coached by? So how did that even happen? Like, how does one come in and kill it that much in 1 year? Because that is not the norm. That is top 1% of the 1% of real estate agents who do it. So tell us what happened.
So I remember going to, it was the beginning of the year family reunion with Keller Williams because we were with Keller Williams at the time.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Jen Davis on stage and, you know, she was giving her best practices for being a buyer agent, leveraging out with showings. And I remember being so fascinated by her. And I was like, she's who I'm going to epitomize and let me learn more about her. And I think we had found out that her coach was Aaron Hurd. And, you know, the way we were working, we didn't have the best efficiencies. As you had seen, there was this natural cap for us. You know, we didn't have a family. We were solely focused on the business. But, you know, between you and myself, we had seen that there's this natural cap around that 60-ish range before we hit burnout. And so we were like, there's got to be a different way. So we watched Jen Davis. We found out her coach was Aaron Hurd. I got him as a MAPS coach. And that honestly was the fuel to the engine for the growth, I believe, because the scripts that we learned, the dealing with the hard facts of, you know, needing to leverage out our business, whether it's a TC, whether it's a showing agent, giving up control, finding those time barriers and just being able to manage. How do you manage serving that many buyers while also taking leads? It was the full scope coaching of how do we get from start A to end goal of B and not burn out and die.
Yeah. So like you came in, we got one coach that worked on husband-wife teams. We got another coach that specifically worked on buyer systems. And then
you had your own coach.
Yeah.
And then I had mine.
And then you modeled yourself off of somebody who is the top performer for what you are doing in the country. So Absolutely. This wasn't by accident that this happened in the first year. Like you were very strategic. You went out and pursued relationships that were outside of what you had currently been, you know, around. And then you basically, like you were at the bottom floor, they were up here, and they just literally pulled you up because you were willing to learn.
Yeah, there's the willingness to learn. There's the curiosity. There's the awareness of finding the right people. Yeah. Who's done it before, who's done it the way you want to do it, right? So everybody's a little bit different in how they treat their business. I mean, there's little things that they taught us from, okay, you guys are going to have a family now, and how do you have your personal lives back, to having a voicemail message that says if you call my phone right now, everybody has potentially my number. If you call it, leave a message, you're going to hear what it says. All those little teeny details that made a huge difference in expectations, the daily flow of the business. It made everything work. And so, you know, there's always a right person for someone, but that person's not going to be the best fit for everybody.
Yeah. So you modeled yourself off of somebody, and then there's micro tweaks to every aspect of the business, every communication that you started implementing. Like if somebody tells you to do it and you don't do it, then it's a waste, right? But like you were actually implementing everything that your coach was telling you to do.
Yeah, it's the simplest little tweaks, like you said, that we were like, okay, no big deal. But once we implemented them, mind blown. It changed everything. So we have all these little nuggets that we share. We're very transparent now because it fueled our lives and our business. And so we're at a place where we can share it with other people. And so, right now, just to go off that, all of our agents are implementing the things that we train and the things that we've learned over the years. Those highs, those lows. And so it's really cool.
Yeah. And then what's really cool about it is like within your first year after you're slaying it, you are getting recruited to do trainings at the local market center, at other market centers, to even be paid to go around and speak about your experience because it's so unheard of, which is crazy to me, like with that happening so fast. But then when you kind of look back at it, like it's not crazy because somebody else had done it and you're talking with them all the freaking time and you're just willing to put in the energy and the effort to get there.
Yeah, and I think it's more than that. It's where my strength zone is because like I said, I loved my previous job as an analyst, and a lot of that was coordinating and managing companies buying each other, mergers and acquisition of companies for people that are in the real estate industry that may not be aware of that. So that was my groove, that was my flow, and then I just took those skills that I love doing, it was my strength zone, and applied it to real estate, where instead of helping companies buy and sell, you're helping real live people, families. It's more intimate, more I believe it was more rewarding, just to see the impact of what you've done on the ground level, to see their lives change and to deal with those emotional roller coasters. So, you get very close with people very quickly, which I'm a high I. I need that connectiveness with people and being around others. And so to sit in a cube and manage from afar a deal for companies, this was just like 10 times better. Even though I love doing that, I didn't know that I could be on this high. So when you find that strength zone that you're working in, which we did as well, we really worked on our strengths. And by finding that high, it was like, of course I got tired over time, but it wasn't hard to wake up on a Saturday morning and go do showings and make, transactions happen on a Sunday, getting back at 10 o'clock at night, sending in multiple offers. It was just so natural. I didn't even have to think about it. And so we really strive for others to focus on those strengths and find those, because when you do, you have this natural progression and liftoff that it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, it's like rocket fuel. Yep.
Yeah.
It's the same with like when you match your personality type to the activity, it's just awesome. And then when you match your personality type with the activity and you add in somebody else who complements it, it's like magic happens and everything starts moving forward, which is what happened. And then we got invited to speak at conferences that were international conferences in front of tens of thousands of people. And that was primarily because I actually spoke at the conference, but it's primarily because a lot of the work that you had put into it, because you were literally like 50% of the business. We had gotten like the highest level of awards from the company. And then we had our child in Evelyn in February 2019. And then what happened then?
Oh, we'll be completely honest, and people know this, like we broke down. The engine was trying to go with no fuel. Each of us alone, John, you and I, we had essentially solo thriving businesses within one. And so when, I just assumed, oh, I can handle it. It'll be fine. I'll leverage out showings. I'll be able to do it. I'll have a baby. I'll be on maternity leave. It'll be okay, right? We'll figure it out. No. I always say it's like we got hit by a Mack truck, and we were in shock. And all of a sudden, I was only baby because it was like, that was my job, because you had to take on essentially two businesses, right? You're helping 60 plus sellers. I'm helping 60 plus buyers. And we have a transaction coordinator to help, like an operations manager. And we were forced to quickly hire out, Stephanie, Michelle, they came on board to help with showings on the buyer side, listings for you. We were forced into that model because we just felt invincible. We're like, we're in a groove, we can do it, but never again should anybody be in a labor and delivery room having to put 4 people under contract while you're also trying to be there. It's not okay.
Well, I don't say we were forced into it. It was just straight up
No, we chose.
planning. Like extreme ownership on that. Like our plan.
Extreme ownership, right? Like we chose to do that. We could have easily said no, but it wasn't in our blood to do that. Like, how are we supposed to say no to families that need help? We can do this, epidural, I got this, no pain, let's just like focus. So anyway, but then she came and we realized quickly that I was exhausted. You were exhausted from running essentially 2 businesses. We were not in the right frame of mind. We were hitting burnout overnight. And we had to, like we said, we were forced to leverage out. Eventually that helped, but you got a slip disc. You were working a little bit too much, holding the baby. Everything just fell apart. And yeah. So that was
when you have a kid, your priorities re-rank overnight. Like, we were like, our priority was business. And then when the kid came,
we had accepted that with each other. Right. Yeah. So essentially you and I were a family without having the kid first. So when people rank their priorities, it just so happens that you have a husband and wife who are running a business together. So that family and that business blurs together. Yeah. And so we both accepted that's just how it was. We never resented each other. We were both in the same position. And that was, we had our marriage, but our marriage was also running around a business. So it was very ingrained.
Yeah. So what happened next? So like we had the kid, we still had about 200 transactions coming in for just 2 agents. We leveraged out a lot of the responsibilities. And then from like February to the end of 2020, like what was it like?
Yeah, so we definitely had our breakdown before the breakthrough. We essentially were at a point where we were burned out, but we had so many transactions coming through. We've been very transparent. We didn't necessarily need the money. And so it was a hard balance of saying, we're exhausted. We have a family now to focus on, and the values changed overnight. You don't even anticipate those feelings you're going to have until you have your first child. There's no other priorities that happen except that. Never before, John, were you on the road all day saying, I actually want to be home to be with someone, because you and I worked together. We didn't have a reason to be home. We would go out all day. We would meet up for dinner at 8:00, have our computers work, chat, get together. And then, that was our life. And so now you're struggling with personal business relationships. I'm wanting to be back out to work, and I'm home. I'm choosing to be home, taking care of our newborn. And it was the breakdown before the breakthrough. So, when you don't have that money driving you to say, I need income to support my lifestyle, we said, what are we doing it for? We had investment properties that we decided to say, okay, if we lived bare minimum for a year and we said, let's live off the rental income and our savings, and let's just take a break. And took a break also meant serving 20 to 50 families still. So we're like, okay, we can do this part-time. Let's serve 20-ish families.
On referrals, I think we get like 120 a year. So like,
right.
You're going to serve.
So we were like, you know what? Let's stop calling FSBOs expired. Let's stop. We cut off online leads. We said, okay, if we just live off referrals and we just focus on that, and our rental or the rental spreads, we can live very simply. Everybody knows John and I, we don't live extravagantly. We have our house and we have our old cars, my 2013 Subaru. We're not out buying above our means and or spending, you know, lucratively. So we were like, we can just live simple. Let's just do that. The problem is we got bored very fast. We still wanted something to do, but sales was not the answer, because being on the road all day and trying to raise a young family was not going to be sustainable. And so eventually it took a few months. We got to the end of the year, we were bored because we weren't working as much. And we were like, okay, we could tell ourselves that we can live simply and we can travel and live off the bare bones, but that's not in our blood. We're builders, we're growers. We wanted to do something.
Yeah.
So that was not going to work. We took a nice few month break and that was it. And then we have a big whiteboard in our living room, and we were like, okay, like enough's enough. We need something to do. What's going on? We don't want to leave real estate. We had considered going and maybe teaching at universities and teaching real estate and going back into corporate, working real estate within there. And we were like, this is silly. Like we've been our own business owners successfully for so long. We can't go and work for someone else now. Like that's crazy. We had people wanting us to teach. We had agents wanting to join our team. People know us. We never wanted to build a big team. That wasn't who we were. We wanted it to be more intimate. We didn't want to be employers. Essentially, that just wasn't us, to keep people accountable. Like, slave driving every day. Why aren't you doing what your activities are supposed to be? It's not where we are in our zone. And so with the combination of, we can't be on the road all day, but we want to be in real estate. And agents are coming to us wanting to join our team. And people are asking us to teach, but we're not getting any value back from our brokerage anymore. So we're paying all this money into our brokerage every year. And we have people that want to do this. And so we had this epiphany. We were like, even if we kept it super small, with the caps that we're paying to our brokerage, why wouldn't we just make our own? And that was at the end of 2019. That's where the idea for opening a brokerage came from.
Yeah, so we were like at this point where we could either burn it all down or we can build a platform to give it all away.
And we almost burned it down. We were so burned out that we almost let the house burn down. And then we woke up and we were like, what are we doing? We've worked so hard for years to build this.
Can't walk away.
It's working itself. Why would we walk away from something like this? Especially when it's what we love doing anyway. We just had a big wave come and kind of crash us all down to say, hold on here, like wake up.
Well, let's rewind here to 2019 because, even though we struggled through having the baby and then me basically inheriting your buyer side business, which was going to be 100 buyers, and I was working with like 60, 70 sellers in 1 year, like that was going to be crazy, and I inherited it. And what we did was we found solutions to it. So we found showing agents, we found systems, we found ways to do it with turning off the online leads that made like everything just like click. And we still had a great 2019, even though we weren't in the business every single day. I think we closed like 21, 22 mil that year, but we weren't on the phone all day grinding and pushing. And we had leveraged out a lot of the activities, which caused us to, again, be the poster child for profitability of small teams. We got invited to another international conference with the brokerage we were at and had another opportunity to share what it is like to be a literal millionaire real estate agent, because we had become millionaires in 2018, which was 3.5 years, which was also unheard of, becoming a millionaire that fast in real estate. So even though it was like a super stressful year, it forced us to find solutions after the fact rather than before that actually really moved the ball forward for a lot of people who are looking to replicate a similar model. And I know the showing agent model was out there before us, but a lot of people weren't necessarily executing that at a high level here locally. I know they tried to, but like this is something that now is commonplace. and there's a system and an infrastructure around it that we have built that like made us get through that period. So if you're a real estate agent right now, like imagine what it would be like to never show a home again and build a system around that.
I just looked it up because I had our spreadsheet open. So in 2019, even with everything, you and I stepping out, our team sold 23.5 million in volume and helped 85 families buy and sell. And that was with having so we had our transaction coordinator throughout half the year. And we hired Stephanie and Michelle, who are currently with our brokerage. And they were the driving force as well with helping with those showings. They wanted to grow their businesses. They were newer agents. And so, while we were high level consulting from afar, right? We're not in person, but if people that we knew and established relationships, they had questions, we could still be there, just not on the road all day because we have our family, and John's health had taken a fall. So, with Stephanie, that was only hiring 2 showing agents essentially that turned into buyer agents. So the 4 of us, think of it as 2 seller side, 2 buyer side, and 85 families still.
Yeah, and the price point was getting higher, and everything was getting easier, and the conversations were getting easier. We got lucky hiring Michelle and Steph. They're incredible agents, and they really care about the clients. They literally stepped in and picked up for us at the right time. I got to tell you, like, the more we're in this business, the more we're running into people, the more lucky we're getting. I think it's just a matter of attracting people that have the same philosophy and work ethic, because they know they're not going to be able to work alongside us if they don't have that, because we just won't tolerate it.
We do the career visioning with them. We had a process, we bring them on. If they weren't the right people, we wouldn't have brought them on. But we quickly went through that process of training because we had failed through that so many times before of not finding the right people, that it was probably some luck though, who knows, right? Because we've always thought before we had the right people, but we were like, you know what, let's see what they can do. Instead of trying to belabor and extend the process, we were like, let's just see what they can do, and it'll be okay. Like, it'll be fine.
It's a tryout.
And they killed it.
So fast forward, like 2019 was great. We're still speaking at conferences. I was a coach coaching agents across the country on how to perform in their business, which was an incredible experience. And then 2020 hits, and we decide, let's open a brokerage. Let's figure out how we can give away everything that we have learned, because it now has become bigger than ourselves, right? Like, we have a daughter. We want our daughter to look up to us and say, hey, when my parents went and got theirs and they got it for themselves, the minute that they could, they turned around and helped other people go and get theirs. That's the way that I see it. And your mentality changes. Like, honestly, like, I was pretty greedy. I was looking out for myself and my own financials, and when you have a daughter, you just think of, like, this is about community, and it really helped me learn and grow personally and as a leader of what to do. So you can talk to that too, Britt.
Yeah, I think that transition in 2019 where Stephanie, Michelle, they're seeing their lives grow. They did have a realization moment where the brokerage just did come about too, because the financials weren't making sense with the team model. And so that was one of the tickers.
Let's talk about that. Let's break down.
That's where I think that also establishes the brokerage.
Yeah, because like at the end of 2019, I think it was Michelle came to me and she was like, I've sold like 30 homes and I'm still broke. And I'm like, how is that possible? And I was always looking at the financials from my perspective as the team leader. And then I looked at her and she's like, well, I have to pay 50-50 split with you guys. Sometimes it's a little bit higher of a split, so it's less for her. I got to pay my brokerage 36% after that. Maybe there's a referral fee of 25%. Maybe the commission's 2.5% instead of 3%, which is 16.6% of the transaction. Like, and then I have to pay for my own health insurance and I have no benefits. Like, she's like, at the end of the day, when you're on
taxes,
you have those splits, you're making like 36%, maybe less of the total commission dollar. And you have to live off of that too.
Yeah. So that was a huge realization. So we're seeing their businesses grow based on, learning from our business and our training, but then the financials don't make sense.
Yeah.
And so everything just combined. Like I said, there was that we have a whiteboard session in our living room. Everybody that knows us knows that whenever something pops in our head, we start drawing it out, looking at a vision. And so we were like, okay, well, if we made a brokerage, everybody would save money. Everybody's giving a cap. But hey, they have to understand that, we're in a brokerage now, like we're not running a team. And so can they build their businesses themselves? And so we had an honest conversation with them and they were on board. And so leading us into 2020, the end of 2019, during holidays, we're bunkering down. We're getting everything we need to get done to build the brokerage so that we can launch it in the beginning of 2020. And most people's caps were resetting. It just made sense. We're like, let's get this done. Let's start from scratch. And like we've said before, people have learned after joining Momentum that, and like we said, we're financially stable right now. We didn't do this for the money. We eventually wanted to give back. We love teaching and we learned that. That's why we almost went and became, leaders at a university to teach real estate and share our experience. We were teaching at classes and we found that we love doing it. So one of the misconceptions that people think is that, or the opposite is that we are real people. We're trying to give back to others. We're not doing this from a financial incentive side. And we saw Michelle and Stephanie's lives explode. And, over time, their businesses are growing from what we were able to teach them. And they incorporated into their own businesses and personalities. And so brokerage begins. So John, where do you want to stop?
Yeah, so no, I love it because there's like, we are human beings. You can talk to us, you can call us, like we're nice people. We'll go out and have lunch with you. I think that there is a lot of energy out there in the community, potentially gossipy energy out there sometimes that is not productive. So, I invite you guys to come learn about us, learn our story. There seems to be, whenever there's a disruptor in the market, there's a target on their back. And so when we opened Momentum Realty, it was nuts. I can't tell you how insane it was. And so my philosophy was always that the relationship should transcend the association with the brand. But when we were calling people and saying, thank you so much, we've learned so much, we're leaving, we're going to go create our own thing, it was literally like they wanted to chop off our heads and we're the enemy number one. And there were stories that we were going to fail. People were already leaving us. We didn't even have people join us. Like
we hear all the time, like,
make sense.
We hear all the time, well, people have left, and I still say no one's left, but that's okay.
Momentum. But this is to be expected, right? Whenever there's a disruptor in the market. And the first thing we did was create a conversation about profit because we had been to all the conferences. We've talked to so many agents who've been in the business for like 20, 30 years and have nothing to show for it or still on the sales treadmill. We want to change that. There is a different path to build financial success through real estate that honestly the brokerages are not doing a good job of teaching. And so we were like, this is our place. This is our chance. Let's shine a light on the numbers and let the numbers have the conversation. Now, guess what? Putting out the numbers apparently and running numbers. And by the way, Brittany and I are both investment bankers. That is controversial, is running your numbers for a entrepreneur business person.
Well, and we have all our data. For someone to challenge our data, we were like, no. Like we have spreadsheets. For anybody who's been in our classes, we're printing our P&L. They're seeing our Excel sheet.
Yeah.
We give them our profit and loss. They can ask questions on the model, how we've done it. But yeah, it was a combination of a lot of frustrations of seeing how the current brokerage model is. We were part of it and we're like, I don't understand this anymore. For our business, it didn't make sense anymore. And as well as, we're the ones leading classes and we're looking at people that are also leading classes that have never done it themselves. Team leads, owners that have not seen the success.
Time out there. You just brought up like an insane point. I have been coached and trained at other brokerages by people who are reading from a textbook who have never gone on an appointment and signed it themselves.
Yeah.
How are you supposed, like you said, when you came into real estate your first year, I went and found a mentor who had actually done it, had validity, was the best that they had. Like, they're the real deal. Their numbers are up on the scoreboard. You can't ignore the success. But there's brokerages out there that are run by potentially like MBA types that have never even sold a piece of real estate, never had success as an agent, bringing in other people who are professional coaches or trainers that have never had that level of success. Now, I'm not saying that that model doesn't work. What I'm saying is you have to have an awareness of the difference between a career coach, career trainer that gets paid a salary and somebody who has actually done it that wants to help you succeed as a mentor. There's no comparison between the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And as well as, you know, we're starting to disrupt by having those transparent financial questions, because the leaders and the big box brokerages that are idolized, right? They're seen as the big players. They're seen as these are the people to follow. To be honest, you and I made more profit than these teams that sell thousands of homes, right?
We made
and
more
we're like, that's why we never wanted to build. Yeah, that's why we never wanted to build a big team. It never made sense to have your margins go lower and lower, to hire people and have more chaos in your organization, only to potentially make the same amount. And we were like, this doesn't make sense. And so these people are,
and no one's winning. Like, the owner's not winning, the agent's not winning, their client's not winning, because no one's doing enough reps to actually build the customer service. It's basically just like, hey, we're going to buy Boomtown, hand out like 50 leads per month to people, hope they close one, throw a coach on that, and hope that it happens and anyone can join us. And nobody makes money in that model because no one's actually doing above average. Is basically just a bunch of below average. Which, you know, that's just, you know, that is a business model and people still execute it, but nobody's benefit. There's no value added from doing that.
And we went into this business and we eventually created the brokerage. It was an evolution of still helping the community build wealth through real estate. You know, before it was our buyers and sellers. Now it's our buyers and sellers that we still work with because we're still in sales, as well as the agents now that can take the models that we've made and then propel their lives. And so that was always the goal, was, you know, creating wealth through real estate. And that goal with this awareness of how flawed everybody else is, just what the industry was shining light on, right? The brokerage model, who we're idolizing, they're not making any money for all the work. I mean, we were meeting people who I didn't think you could work any harder. They're like exhausted, they're not sleeping, and they're barely breaking even, right? Like what's the point? And so all those frustrations coupled with our breakdown and the vision that we saw of how it could be done better just fueled the momentum for building momentum.
So we opened Momentum, and what happened then? Like, it just exploded with agents wanting to join like the first week. Why was that, and what happened?
So, and to be honest, we had always said, you know, even if it stays small, everybody's still winning. Like, the whole goal was to get out of that current, the goal was to get out of the current model, to say it could be better for everybody, even if it's just me, John, Stephanie, Michelle. And whoa. So we open it, we share our mission, vision, values, we create the brand. We had a lot of friends in the industry that they were also in the same position. They wanted to come over. And so, you know, there's some previous relationships we have that are now part of the brokerage. And I guess people are saying, hey, it's working. This isn't a shiny object that doesn't have any depth to it. You know, we're giving everything away, how we built everything, all of the anecdotes, all the highs and lows that happen throughout our transaction that we can share with people. So, you know, any agents that are having issues, we start making training videos around it. Let's talk about it. So it's a constant evolution of giving value, figuring out where those gaps are with agents, what they need. We can give them the value immediately then. And I think people are like, okay, this isn't just a facade. Like, this can work. And bonus, it's a discount model, right? We get to keep more profit in our wallets, while also getting a tremendous amount of value, coaching, training, business planning. It's just it's flabbergasting, to be honest. I mean, I'm so proud of the tribe we have, these people that every day we're all celebrating each other's successes and they're lifting each other up. We had always wanted to, we were missing in our life wheel that sense of community with agents at our brokerage. We're like, we don't even go in the office, we don't do anything. But we have this amazing tribe, we call it now, where everybody, it feels like this intimate community, even digitally, because of COVID. COVID kind of forced us to go more of a digital route, which ended up working out because people can still get the value, the videos, the training from afar. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to say. Like, it exploded beyond what we possibly thought, and it's great.
So can I back up here? So like when we opened, we wanted to be very specific of who we went into business with. We didn't want to just go in business with any agent out there that had a license and a pulse, because we knew from the coaching world that like you need good input to get good output. And that means you have to have standards at your brokerage, which, by the way, standards alone, not only shining light on financials is confrontational apparently, but also having standards for your agents is also something that's not regular in any brokerage that I'm aware of other than teams. And so we said, okay, we want the agent to be able to do more than 10 transactions. We want them to be full-time. We want them to actually care about the client. This isn't commission breath. We want them to make money, and they have to have a positive attitude. So if they come through the door and they bring energy levels down, they're not allowed to come through that door. So we had made like rules of thumb. Yep.
We're all about culture. That's the main thing. That's where it starts, because if we have the right culture with our people, right, that positive, growth-minded, growth-oriented mindset, and that's where I think we've been winning mainly in the beginning, is because there's been that momentum, play on words, but the momentum of people coming on, because it's just because you bring in the right people, and the people who want to grow, they build everybody else up around them, right? They're all collaborating. We're all working together. If people start getting competitive and catty, like, that's not who we are. Like, sorry. You're out, right? Like, that doesn't fit the culture. And so, so it comes down to, you and I believe that if you're not serving those 10 to 12 buyers or sellers a year, then you may not be as experienced enough to serve, customers at the highest level.
Or make enough money to be able to live.
If you're part-time, right? Exactly. Or if you're not making enough money.
And just to give clarity on this, there's no judgment about, everybody has different goals, right?
Yeah.
So we're saying like this brokerage wasn't open for everyone. I know some people are like, well, that's offensive. And we're saying like, look, we're serving a very niche part of the market. This brokerage is not for everyone. I've even had agents come to us, try to join. We've turned away 32 agents trying to join over the last 6 months. And
we're not for everyone.
Yeah, it's not made for everyone. It's not made to serve everyone. We're not made to serve the people who are brand new, don't know how to write a contract, don't know how to open a door to let a client in. Like, if you're at that level, we're not saying don't talk to us. Still talk to us. Like, we want to help the whole community win. It's just our brokerage at the moment currently is not the right fit. There are some things that you should learn, some other brokerages that we can recommend that can get you to that point, because we really view ourselves as a graduate program for agents that are on pace for 10 to 12 who want to go to like 40, 60, 80, who knows, 1,000 units. And we have the path to get there. We have the resources for you to get there, and we can get you anywhere you want to be, because if me and Brittany don't know how to do it, we have the resources and connections to find somebody to help you do it and get to that next level.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is for people that are part-time, for people who, you know, they have other things going on in their lives that they don't want to grow. Well, our conversations are centered around how do you rocket fuel your growth, right? And so it may not be the right place for everybody because it's just different conversations for people's different businesses and what their goals are.
Yep. And our values are passion, purpose, integrity, and growth. So it is literally built into the fundamentals where it's like, if you're an agent that wants to go to 5 units to 10 units, this isn't the brokerage for that. We're looking for people who want growth, like massive growth, wants to live a big business life, wants to be around a tribe that has passion and like is furiously trying to grow and learn from those around them. And that's where there's so much energy now. What is cool is we started off with like a recruitment scheme to get like, you know, like you see some of those other companies out there where like, hey, you recruit somebody in, we'll start paying you amount of money. We took that away because again, people were coming to us anyway, and people were starting to a little bit look at that program and see if they could find a way to get someone to sign them up as their sponsor. We took that away because we wanted it to be truly authentic reason for you joining the brokerage. Which is being around a different tribe that has different level conversations than what people are used to. So we started with 2 agents in January of 2020, and then it exploded. And how many agents do we have now?
Oh my goodness. We now have 64 agents.
All right.
Not including myself and you, and which you're inactive now, but not including myself. Right. So we have 64 agents right now.
Yeah. And so what is
those are, sorry, some of those are mentees. So, you know, if you go on our website and see information about us, for those people who want the growth but don't have some of the history to have joined as a full-time agent, we do have the mentor-mentee program that we established. So some of those are younger, less established agents.
Yeah, so that's cool. And so we have a bunch of different programs at Momentum. You can check them out at the website, momentumjax.com. I'll just go over a few. There's one called Elevate, which is buying Zillow leads. There's one called Velocity, which is buying realtor.com leads. And that funnels business straight into you. Some of them you pay for yourself. Some of them Momentum pays for. And these are leads that basically have a referral fee attached to them. We have a program called the Focus Program, which is a touch program for your database, which is really, really cool. So you funnel the business through, you have the service of your clients, which we teach you. You have all the resources. We have buyer consults, listing consults that are editable for you to take advantage of. And then it flows through to your past clients, which we can then help you work as well. And it just goes in this huge circle. Along the way, you have accountability groups that you can join. We have expert trainings that come in every single week. It's just a really cool process that keeps your business going so it does become sustainable, because that is the end goal of the real estate agent, is to sell property, get the cash, get consistent cash so they can go invest in real estate and get more annuity income coming in so they can start to grow their wealth in their life and their lifestyle. And so what we've done is basically the agents come to us with saying, hey, here's my problem, or here's what I could see change. And Momentum goes out there and creates the program for them and is basically acting like a business partner, right? Well, thanks everybody for listening. We'll continue to give you more updates of what's going on. Brittany, thanks for coming on. This is our 6 months. I'm excited to do one of these at 12 months to see where we're at. So here's the marker. We're at 64 agents. They're producing. Nobody has left the firm of their own accord at this time, which says something about the culture and what's going on. And there's more and more agents wanting to join every month, which is super cool. If you're one of those agents who's interested, just reach out, have a conversation. We're not pressuring people. You don't have to join us. At least come learn and be involved in the conversation. I promise you'll get something out of it. We'll get something out of it too. So thank you for listening, and we're very grateful for your time.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.